Okay, coming back here. Hope you had some time to think about what you've learned already, kind of that chunk and chew, and also maybe even ideas about poems. But so we're getting back into figures of speech. So figures of speech are tools that writers use to create images or paint pictures in your mind. Similes, metaphors, and personification are three figures of speech that create imagery. So a simile. Now we've talked about similes quite a bit in class. The runner streaked like a cheetah. And streaked is another word for like running really fast. So a simile compares two things using the words like or as. Comparing one thing to another creates a vivid image. So flint is by Christina Rossetti. A emerald is as green as grass. A ruby red as blood. A sapphire shines as blue as heaven. A flint lies in the mud. A diamond is a brilliant stone to catch the world's desire. An opal holds a fiery spark, but a flint holds fire. This is a metaphor example. A metaphor compares two things without using the words like or as. So a simile uses like or as. A metaphor is basically the same, but it just doesn't use like or as. It gives the qualities of one thing to something that is quite different. The winter wind is a wolf howling at the door. So wind is not a wolf, but it's like a wolf, like just howling and almost kind of like ferocious. So the winter wind is a wolf howling at the door. But here's an example. The night is a big black cat by G. Orr Clark. Now remember, nighttime is not alive, but night is big black. It's a big black cat, so you're supposed to just think that's kind of what night is like. The night is a big black cat. The moon is her topaz eye. The stars are the mice she hunts at night in the field of the sultry sky. Then personification. Personification gives human traits and feelings to things that are not human, like animals or objects. So like an example here, the moon smiled down at me. Well, the moon can't smile, but just it's like you're kind of just imagining the moon as a nice, friendly face. From Mr. Sun by J. Patrick Lewis. Mr. Sun wakes up at dawn, puts his golden slippers on, climbs the summer sky at noon, trading places with the moon. So it's basically saying like the sun and the moon are alive and they're trading places and the sun's putting on slippers and climbing the summer sky. No, it's just we know that the earth is rotating and that's why the sun moves in the sky. It's the earth moving. But just kind of a fun thing for poems. So there are tons of different kinds of poems, and this is where I'm going to talk about a few of these, especially the ones that you are going to be doing. So one of the things that I'm just going to talk about here too, though, you're going to hear me talk a lot about it in future lessons. Lines and stanzas. So most poems are written in lines. So when I look at this poem, March, a blue day, that's called a line, not a sentence, but a line in poems. A group of lines in a poem is called a stanza. So one crow, melting snow, spring's winning. All three of those lines put together is one stanza. Like these ones up here, a blue day, a blue jay, and a good beginning. That's a stanza. Those three lines put together is a stanza. Stanzas separate ideas in a poem. They act like paragraphs. This poem has two stanzas. No, two. A blue day, a blue jay, and a good beginning. Stanza 1. One crow, melting snow, spring's winning. Stanza 2. So a couplet. This is one of the types of poems that we are going to be doing. A couplet is a poem or a stanza in a poem written in 2 lines. Usually rhymes, doesn't have to. The Jellyfish by Ogden Nash. Who wants my jellyfish? I'm not Sallyfish. It's supposed to be selfish, but kind of a play on words there. So that's a couplet, just 2 lines. We're not going to be doing this one. A tercet, though, is basically like a couplet, but it's 3 lines. So you can always make a tercet. Quatrain is very similar to a couplet or a tercet. This time, though, it has 4 lines. Traditional Cinquain, we're not going to be doing these ones. We're going to be doing something that's very, very similar to it. This one uses syllables. We're going to be using something different, though. But this is where, you can always come back and watch this video, or you can look at these notes again later if you want to do some different kinds of poems. I'm going to keep going. Diamante. Diamante is one of the ones we are going to be doing. It's a 7-line poem that when you're done, it's forms the shape of a diamond. It does not rhyme. It can rhyme, but it's really hard to make it rhyme. But it follows a specific pattern. It uses synonyms and antonyms. It also uses adjectives and verbs. When we get to Diamante, you'll get to learn how to do that one. But here is an example, though. So, monsters. Creepy, sinister, hiding, lurking, stalking. Vampires, mummies, werewolves, and more. Chasing, pouncing, eating, hungry, scary creatures. This is an antonym Diamante, and this is more of what we're going to be doing, antonym ones. So you're going to see the top line, day, and that bottom line, night, are antonyms, opposites. The top part of the Diamante poem goes with day, and the bottom half goes with night. So day, bright, sunny, laughing, playing, doing, up in the east, down in the west, talking, resting, sleeping, quiet, dark, night. That's a really fun one to do, though. Haiku, we are going to be doing haikus. This is a very traditional type of poem. It's a Japanese poem. It uses syllables. It's only 3 lines. The first line has 5 syllables. The second line has 7 syllables, and the third line has 5 syllables. It does not rhyme. They just don't rhyme. That's kind of one of the rules of a haiku. Usually, it's about nature or seasons, but you can do a haiku about anything. Here's an example. Little frog among, and that's little frog among. So you can count out the syllables on your hand. Little, 2, frog, 3, among, 5. Rain, shaken leaves, are you 2? Rain, shaken leaves, are you 2? 7. Splashed with fresh green paint. 5. Splashed with fresh green paint. So 5, 7, 5. Little frog among, rain, shaken leaves, are you 2? Splashed with fresh green paint. I like that one. These are some other kinds too. A concrete poem, that's one we're going to be doing. Usually it takes you can also call it a shape poem, and it's the shape of what you're writing about. If you see, it looks like a rainbow, it's because that's all about rainbows. The way the words are arranged is important as what they mean. Doesn't rhyme. So when I read this one, I read the top, start that top. Rain is rainbows, rainbows, rainbows. Black boots and big puddles, puddles, puddles. Slushy streets and soaked trees, trees, trees. Bumblebees, bumblebees, books of color. So it's that's a cool concrete shape poem. Free verse, this is a poem that just kind of goes all over the place. I'm not going to be teaching about free verse, but this is where you get to kind of make up your own rules. Kind of a cool type of poem. Acrostic, we are going to be doing acrostic poems. This is where you take a word, and I know many of you have done acrostic poems before. I'm just going to show you. Basically, you take a word. You can see there's L-E-A-F going down. So L-E-A-F. So it spells a leaf, and there's a picture of a leaf. And then each letter you use to talk about your poem, would talk about your topic. So it's about a leaf. So each of these lines talks about it. Loose brown parachute, escaping and floating on puffs of air. That's by Paul Paoli. But that's another cool one we're going to be getting to do. Limericks, another really fun one. That's a really sing-songy kind of a one. We're not going to do that one. You can always have nonsense poems. And just wanted to show you this slide because you can add a lot of nonsense into your own. Shel Silverstein, Jack Pulaski, they're known for just doing really silly ones. Wordplay, this is where you are doing some kind of fun, kind of like making up words to go along with it. The walrus. The pounding spatter of salty sea makes the walrus walrusty. So I kind of like that one. It's just kind of fun. The last thing I just wanted to show you on these slides, there are more slides, but this is just the last one I wanted to show you. Voice is the speaker in a poem. The speaker can be the poet themselves or a character they created in the poem. There can be one speaker or many speakers. So this is just kind of talks about when you are reading a poem aloud. It's really important the way that you read it. That can really change just how a poem is read. But that's where I want to stop. The next video is going to show you your assignment today, and it's going to be all about just thinking and sharing ideas for poems.